Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Coach Sark, the Texas Longhorns, kicking off their first SEC matchup against Mississippi State. Not sure if Texas fans had this on the bingo card, but the first SEC matchup, Texas is going to be favored by 38.5 points. This Texas team, and the Texas Longhorn fans who've been rocking with the boys for the last couple of weeks and months know how I feel about it. Like a lot of the national media attention goes to the quarterback position for Texas, which is absolutely elite. You're not going to see me get up here and say otherwise, right? Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning. We're going to get into that conversation a little bit, but obviously the best quarterback room in the country. But I think what's kind of just flying under the radar because of all the national media attention that goes to the quarterback spot is how good this Texas team is around the quarterback position. You look at the offensive line, it's elite. I think it might be the best offensive line that we see in the country. Look, I'm a Michigan fan. I watched Michigan's defensive line just dominate USC over the weekend. And then you go back and watch that matchup against week 2, it's roles reversed. Like that Texas offensive line just took it to that Michigan defensive line. So you got elite offensive line play. Obviously, Coach Sark and all the weapons on the offensive side of the football. Then you look at the defense and say it's the number one defense in the country right now through 4 games, only allowing 5.5 points per game. Number one in the country. I think this is a very similar situation in terms of how people talk about Tennessee, where they want to talk about Nico and the quarterback play that Tennessee has, but you look around that program and say Tennessee is very good around the quarterback spot. I think that is the same conversation that people aren't having with Texas. Is the quarterback play is elite for Texas. There's no argument against that. But the team around the quarterback position, it's national championship caliber. And I don't think you can argue otherwise. Now you have a Mississippi State team coming on the road that's going to have to go to a backup quarterback. And look, Blake Shapen was okay for Mississippi State. They're obviously 1-3 coming into this matchup. You're either going to see a redshirt freshman in Chris Parson, or you're going to see a true freshman in Michael Van Buren. I don't think the quarterback play is going to be great. They've been struggling to protect the quarterback. And I think you're looking at a pass rush that we're going to get into that I think is really good for Texas, specifically at the edge rusher position. Fired up to get into this one now. Before we do, and as always, and most importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. That is kind of the best part about doing these preview and prediction episodes. Whether you agree with the boys, whether you disagree, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. The support's been amazing. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one and let's start with this Texas offense. And let's quickly have a conversation about the quarterback spot where Arch Manning, look, he's been impressive. Like you can tell this kid is going to be an elite quarterback, but I think that performance against ULM, at least in my opinion, and I think a lot of Texas fans probably share this, I think Quinn Ewers is the guy. Like you can tell Arch Manning is dripping with talent, but you can also tell that he's a young quarterback that is still learning how to play the quarterback position at an elite level. Probably going to be my pick to win the Heisman Trophy in 2025, but I think Quinn Ewers, when he's healthy, is the guy. Now, the good news for Texas, you have a quarterback that you can win at a very high level with Arch Manning. I think he's getting valuable reps to start this 2024 season. Look, as a Michigan fan, I remember when J.J. McCarthy was a young cat, and we were kind of banging the table to see more J.J. McCarthy. Now, we didn't have a Quinn Ewers. We had a Cade McNamara. I understand the Texas fans wanting to see Arch Manning, but I think at the end of the day, like Quinn Ewers is the quarterback one for this Texas football team. You go back to the performance he put up against Michigan, like it didn't get any better. Like I think Quinn Ewers has taken a massive step from 2023 to 2024. He took a step in 2023. I think he's taken another step in 2024. He's looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I think Quinn Ewers is your guy, especially as you get into stiffer competition in the SEC. One thing I got to shout out to Texas Longhorn fans for, and this is a conversation that we had before CJ Baxter even went down with the injury, was what this rushing attack looked like. And we were all on the hype train of CJ Baxter over the summer. The Texas fans, even before CJ Baxter, were like, hey, Jaden Blue's a dude. And I kind of said, yeah, I think Jaden Blue's good, but I think CJ Baxter is going to be the guy. Well, Jaden Blue is an absolute guy. And the Texas Longhorn fans were absolutely right. Take a look at his numbers, the missed tackles forced, what he's doing after contact has been really impressive. I think you have a really good true freshman, Jarrett Gibson, who I love coming out of IMG Academy. Elite offensive line play. Isaiah Bond is emerging as that dynamic playmaker that we're used to seeing in this Texas offense. And then you got a guy in Ryan Wingo, who I think is going to continue to earn more reps in this offense. He is about as impressive as a true freshman wide receiver. I get Cam Coleman, Jeremiah Smith are getting all the attention right now. Ryan Wingo has been phenomenal for Texas. And the boxes are checked. And again, I think this offensive line is so good. They can run the football at a high level. They can pass protect it. There's not many holes in this Texas offense from a personnel standpoint. And then you have the best play caller, or one of the best play callers, arguably the best play caller in the game, and Coach Sark running this offense. Flipping over to the defense, this is where I think the matchup gets really tricky for Mississippi State. Again, they have struggled to protect the quarterback. They don't really have a guy on the outside that scares you. And then you're playing either a redshirt freshman quarterback or a true freshman quarterback on the road against the Texas pass rush that, we kind of said coming into the 2024 season, everybody wanted to talk about trying to replace Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. There's no replacing those guys. They were elite for Texas in 2023. But what we kind of said was the edge rusher position, I think, is massively improved from what it was in 2023. You look at the pass rushing numbers in production that Texas had in 2023, it was largely coming from the inside of the defensive line. I think the roles are a little bit reversed. Now, a guy like Vernon Broughton, I think, has been elite for Texas on the inside of the defensive line. Talk about another true freshman in Colin Simmons, who, as a pure pass rusher, been pretty good against the run from what I've seen as well, which is impressive for a true freshman. But when he is pinning his ears back and getting after the quarterback, this kid's special. Again, you see Dylan Stewart doing it at South Carolina. Colin Simmons is certainly doing it at Texas as well. Barron Sorrell, Trey Moore in the portal. The Texas pass rush, although doesn't have the firepower on the inside of the defensive line, is very, very good at the edge position. And you're going up against the Mississippi State offensive line that has allowed a sack on 9.6% of dropbacks, specifically struggling at the offensive tackle position. That's not a good combination. I mean, you got a young quarterback, whether it's the redshirt freshman or whether it's the true freshman Mike Van Buren, going on the road to Texas with an offensive line that has struggled against the pass rush that I think is really good. That's going to be a tough matchup for Mississippi State. And then you look at Anthony Hill. Anthony Hill is emerging as one of the best linebackers in the country. Again, quietly, because everyone, when you talk about Texas, you talk about the quarterback position. Anthony Hill has been doing a phenomenal job at the off-ball linebacker position. I'll say this. I wouldn't mind seeing Texas get a little bit more creative with Anthony Hill. Like, I think you can tell he's put it together at that off-ball backer position. Walk him up to the edge. Have him pass rush a little bit more, because I think he can be what I think people expected Harold Perkins to be over the last couple of years, quite frankly. I think that's how gifted Anthony Hill is at that linebacker position. Then you look at the back end and say Jahdae Barron. The secondary is the most improved aspect of this Texas team. It's by far. I think it was the weakest part in 2023. I think it's why they lost to Washington. They have shored that up in a big way. You bring in a veteran safety in Andrew Makuba, who I think was just such a perfect addition by Coach Sark. Like, not only is Andrew Makuba such a phenomenal football player, but more importantly, you're injecting just an experienced safety that has played so much football, kind of helping some of the young talent around him come together as a unit. I think this Texas team right now, again, on the film, on the paper, they look like the most impressive team in the country. It is hard to see Mississippi State really at any matchup on the football field giving this Texas team a problem. So getting into the pick, it's 38.5 points, but I feel very comfortable that Texas can kind of reach that 40 to 50 point range. And it's really hard for me to see Mississippi State getting more than 10. And I do think you'll see some turnovers. I do think you'll see some short fields for this Texas offensive line. They're operating better in the red zone than they did last year. This Texas team's a juggernaut. And I think you have a Mississippi State team that is not just, quite frankly, like, not an SEC team along the lines of scrimmage. Big time question marks at quarterback play. I don't see how Mississippi State gets in this one. Give me Texas to cover the 38.5 points. Texas continues to roll. And I think for Texas Longhorn fans, I think you got a special team here. We will close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.